welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who replaced the airbag in his car with a hefty bag full of Jell-O. It's John Levingood.
Well, at least I would have survived that.
Yeah. So I ripped that off of Cheap Pete from a Chris Rock comedy album. Actually, he did that in I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, too, which I love that little cameo he has in there. But I had to bring it up for this Final Destination 2 because that scene always gets me.
You know what's great is that is, in Final Destination 2, what Terry's abrupt bus death was in Final Destination 1. It was the abrupt, catch you off guard, really fun death that even people who don't laugh at horror movies probably had an awkward laugh after that happened.
It gets me. And the placement was all wrong for the scene, but the way they made it work, I loved. And in the Infinifilm, I don't know if you were able to watch this, but I have the Infinifilm of Final Destination 2. And during the movie, during each kill, you could click on a little clip that was about 2 minutes long, and they showed you exactly how they did it. So I got to watch how she got her head wedged onto a PVC pipe.
Poor thing. You know what? That character is, I mean, she's supposed to be the high-strung kind of annoying character, but she brought a lot of pragmatic humor. And I don't know, I really kind of liked that character. If you have a friend who's like a law firm trying to make partner, if you've got someone who just started like a residency as a doctor, or someone who started their own business, like I certainly have an appreciation for those high-strung, young professionals. Like I like that character.
And she was Keegan Connor Tracy. She was who played Kat. She was cast like 5 days before the movie started. So for a normal, she's basically death fodder in this movie. But you're right, the scene where they throw a cigarette onto her windshield wipers, which I don't know how that stuff stayed on there when she's going 70 miles an hour. But yeah, you're right. She did a lot with it. And this movie actually, it has a lot of talent behind and in front of the camera. The director, John, this is gonna blow your mind. I know you know this, John, but the director David R. Ellis did second unit for Deep Blue Sea.
I would have never known that. I would never know who was second unit on anything, but that's really cool to know.
And you know second unit, right? What that's all about?
I actually don't educate me and our listeners. Yeah. So second unit, when you say that, what I think of is someone who comes on to do reshoots or someone who does the shots when all the main actors aren't in it. That's what I would assume.
Yeah, you're very close with the second one. So you'll hear a lot of times where in Final Destination 3, they had a second unit that was going around. We're going to talk about that as well during the Home Depot scene. The second unit got all the insert shots that the directors had no interest in getting. They were like, we're not doing that. We made second unit do it. But then you have second unit where David R. Ellis, this director, he also worked on 47 Ronin, Matrix Reloaded, Soldier, which we talked about, Harry Potter, Waterworld, which we've talked about, and Patriot Games. So for second unit, let's say there's a car chase where you don't see. So in Patriot Games, that car chase with Harrison Ford and Sean Bean, the driving scenes where you don't see any of the actors, most of the time that's second unit. But when the actors are in the scene saying dialogue, then you have the director there. So I worked on Splinters, we would call them like a Splinter unit on this like NBC pilot called Local Talent, where we just had to do a gag where a car ran a red light and other cars had to brake to not hit him. So that was second unit because there were no actors there. So David R. Ellis, I mean, he's worked on, Matrix Reloaded, Harry Potter, the Harry Potter movies, and Waterworld. Those are gigantic, even 47 Ronin. Those are gigantic budgeted movies. So the dude handled action really well. And he was on set during the beginning with, the 11 days where they flipped all the cars. So that was really cool. But yeah, that's second unit where you're just getting the action, the actors aren't in it. Or if you have stunt doubles, you're off on a second unit shooting. Like on Cap Civil War, when Black Widow is, I keep on saying Scarlet Witch, but then I feel like that's
Widow.
Yeah, Scarlet Widow. So when she's fighting the people in Lagos, then it's kind of the stunts. That's second unit filming that. So I wanted to ask you before I went off on a tangent because I didn't want a second unit mansplain to you.
Well, I was not exactly on point at all. I was just assuming, and I'll bet a lot of listeners don't know that. But what's really funny is that as you started to explain that, I imagine the person who randomly stumbled across our podcast who doesn't listen to a movie podcast normally, and then our regular listeners, and how they would have both responded to you saying, that car chase in Patriot Games? Because I think of like if we were just like at Christmas with our families and someone
yeah,
walked up
yeah.
and just sort of say, you know that car chase in Patriot Games, people would just stare at us like, what on earth? Who could remember that? And then you think of our regular devout listeners, where as you're saying that, it is the silent, what I would call geek nod, like, yep, of course.
I mean, I grew up watching that movie constantly on VHS, and I remember, dude, I was probably 12 years old, and I would just bust out a horrible Irish accent. I'm like, you ain't gonna make me wet a rubber, are you? Like I would say that when I was 12. Horrible, better Irish act to people. Like I didn't know it really, like I wasn't quite hip to it all, but like that's what I said all the time. I was a weird kid. But all right, how about this?
So second unit though does require
the car chasing
talent.
Bumblebee. Or insert John Wick 3. No, it takes talent. Oh yeah, is that? I mean, it's very
right.
Yeah.
So it's like it used to be. And honestly, I only came up with a good idea when you challenged me to like think of what I thought second unit was. But normally when I'm watching the credits, especially when I was younger, and I see all that second unit, this, that, or the other, I just think I'm like waving my hands like none of them matter. When really, if those shots aren't skilled shots, then you'd have this big weird dynamic change between the main shots of your characters and then all the connective tissue shots in between your main shots. So it's like, right, they need to have some semblance of style continuity, right?
Oh, absolutely. And so you need to. So a lot of times the second unit director, was handpicked by the director, and a lot of the big. So I worked on a movie. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but I worked on a movie that if you watch it, it'll put goosebumps on the back of your neck. And we would go through and so we had a bus flipping scene where we flipped a bus. It hit a ramp and it flipped. We had a scene in an ice skating rink where stunt doubles were skating all crazy. And then they would send the shots to the directors, and then the director would get approval. Or I was working on another movie where we were blowing up cars. And so after each car we blew up, we would send it to the directors, and they would give it approval. So yeah, it's a separate unit. They usually don't have. I mean, big budget movies nowadays, these big Marvel movies, they have concurrent second unit running with first unit. But sometimes you have 2 weeks, sometimes you have 1 week. Sometimes you just have people grabbing insert shots. Guillermo del Toro does not do second unit anymore because he hated the second unit work on Mimic. So some directors like James Cameron, they won't let you touch. They won't let you do it. But other movies, budget-wise, I mean, let's say your scheduled shoot on a $200 million movie is 90 days. If you have to add second unit, it probably kicks up to 140, which, that's a massive expenditure right there. Mm-hmm. So they just do 2 units at the same time. But that's what David R. Ellis, my homeboy, he also directed Cellular, dude, and Shark Night 3D, and he came back for the Final Destination Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah, but the Final Destination, the 4th movie.
Yeah, which we're covering in the next episode. But I don't know. So you said something that I loved about Final Destination 2, and Final Destination 3. Do you remember what it was?
Oh yeah, I basically copied it from my own reviews, and I had forgotten even saying it. And then when I reread my own reviews from earlier this year, it really rang true again. Like Final Destination feels like the good film of this franchise, and then Final Destination 2 feels like the great horror movie, and then Final Destination 3 feels like a good flick.
Yeah, I think you're right. After watching all these movies again, I mean, this is good. I love what Final Destination 2, and I love the idea of the survivors from Flight 180. Their survival, their lives. Wait, they lived and then they died, and then that caused a ripple, which dropped down to these people who are getting wiped out. That's pretty cool.
Right.
Now, John, so I've watched this movie, I think, 3 times. And every time I watch it, the first 10 minutes, I'm like, oh no. Like, this movie's gonna suck. Because...
Right, yeah. It feels video era at first, doesn't it?
I can't stand her friend that's like, oh yeah, the whips and the chains in the back.
Yeah.
And then her 2 buddies who are just horrible, horrible people. And I'm watching it, and I always, like, as soon as, I don't like it when people, I don't cheer when people get killed in movies, but when the 3 of them get wiped out, I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to miss them.
Yeah, at the beginning, it feels like a slightly better acted and written version of Wrong Turn 6, like you're like, oh, this is just totally throwaway, but this is one of those cases where the movie starts out, where we're paying more attention to the first batch of death fodder than we are the first batch of survivors, because there's only one survivor in the car, right?
Yeah.
Whereas normally like in part one, we saw this huge intermingling of the people who would die and who would live, but most of our focal attention and most of the lines are from the people who would live. So you're not relating as much to, this almost deliberately whorish, character. I mean, it was well acted. She did a good job with her role. It was delivered. I knew those people in high school, but yeah, it's like, I'm just like, oh God, like, are there going to be 18 sex scenes in this movie?
And then the guys in the background too, just the stoner guy. But it's weird.
The storyboard probably said stoner dialogue in a thought bubble.
Just make it up. And, I don't know. And then her car is leaking, engine coolant? Or transmission fluid?
Transmission fluid is what her dad thinks, yeah.
And her friend is like, it's fine. We'll be fine. We don't need to stop. I'm like, no, you're not going to be fine. Like, you're not going to make it back. I don't know.
Well, and her friend didn't even know what the problem was, right? Her friend was being very dismissive because Kim is on her phone with her dad, and her dad tells her on the phone, I think you're leaking transmission fluid. And she says, okay, I'll get it checked out right away. So it's like, you don't even know what she was talking about if you're the other person in the car listening to those stoners in the back. She's like, it's going to be fine.
Now, hey, so
you're going to die. You're clearly going to die.
Of the three movies we're talking about, we have the airplane, then we have the car crash, and then we have the roller coaster. So I don't want to get into 4 and 5 yet, but which is your favorite of the three's opening scenes?
Opening scenes, part one for getting to know the characters, but part one did the most fantastic job with the characters in general. So, but if we're just talking about the death sequence itself, absolutely part two.
This is gnarly. Like, when everything kicks, what's funny? They actually tried to drop trees for real, and the trees don't bounce. They just fall on the ground and roll away. So then they had to make seeds. They tested it. There's a test on the Infinifilm, and the trees just fall and roll. Like, they look really relaxed. But that cop, he gets his, Thomas, he gets his head destroyed by that tree.
I mean, yeah, so when that thing bounces, it goes through the windshield, through him, and that's like half of his torso up there, and you just see it go out the back with this like chunky, bloody whatever going out the back. Like, that was brutal and awesome and so well thought out from storyboarding to execution of the effects, right? And like, what else? You had
the motorcyclist who just gets smushed.
Which seems so basic if I was telling someone about it, but the execution of it and the shots, it was, and the editing, I'm sure, was critical there too. The timing of it, outstanding. The dude who wins the lottery in his little sports car, he is on fire.
Yeah.
And say what you want about those CGI flames. The way that he is screaming in that scene, I'm like, this is still pretty serious. And then the truck plows through and just tears through him as he was burning to. There's so many things in this scene that just like smack you in the face, even when you're rewatching it. And one thing that's cool, because you said from 1, 2, and 3, the plane, the lumber truck, and the roller coaster, what was the best to me? That is the one of the three that people really talk about and think about in their real life. So I was reviewing these three movies earlier in the year, and then, people comment and relate to them on Twitter and Facebook, or I just chat with people online. My friends see that I posted something, or I'm asking for listener questions or asking for opinions. No one after Final Destination 1 said, well, now I'm going to think about planes differently. Well, now I'm going to think about, if anything goes wrong with my food tray. That you might think of the movie, but it's not really affecting your thought process much. It's not affecting your paranoia. People never said, well, now I'm not getting on a roller coaster again. But with this, your brother commented, I never stay behind a lumber truck now. And someone else told me, when I was at Hunapoo's Day in Tampa for Cigar City, a friend of mine saw that I had posted that review just beforehand. He was like, oh man, I saw you just posted that review. I never stay behind a truck loading anything like that. It's like anything long, even if it's rebar, because they think of that scene. That has resulted no joke, in people actually being more cautious drivers. The other two movies didn't do that. And I am extra paranoid now about water or soda bottles in my car because of when that mom went to slam on the brake and the water bottle was under it. And then man. And I swear, because I used to, when I was in college, I didn't think twice about that. I just had it rolling around on the bottom. Nothing ever happened. Clearly, I'm still here. But that is like a holy shit moment. When I see that, like, I like lock up when she's trying to jam on the gas or on the brake and something is blocking it. Like, oh yeah. You listen to me getting worked up. I'm getting worked up.
This is fun. This is fun. Well, you're sweating. Like, you're getting very animated. This is fun.
If someone has not seen Final Destination 2 and you're just listening to us because you happen to like us, like, by all means, guys, go watch Final Destination 2. Like, needs to be seen.
Once everything kicks off, I absolutely love it. It was just weird, the build-up. So you have a group of people smoking weed. Then you have another guy doing lines of bumps of cocaine. Then you have another dude drinking beer. And then you have that other lady with her cigarillo. And then you have a cop with a full coffee cup without a lid. I was like, what is happening here? What's on this highway?
And don't get me wrong, like, everything that they did was well done, given the annoyingly tropey things that you're saying. It's almost like the beginning of the Friday the 13th remake.
Yeah, just everything they're doing is purposely tropey, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. It's like, but they're executing it well. It's annoyingly tropey, but entertainingly executed. But again, these people are all going to die.
I want everyone here, though, there's a 5-pack of Final Destination you can buy for $10. It's just the DVD pack or the Blu-ray. But on the extras of this, it shows how cars flip. They put this awesome, spring on the bottom of it that just slams down and flips the car. But they show that scene in there. But also, 4 cars explode in here. Like, a car hits a log truck and explodes. And then her car gets hit and explodes. And this happens in that world. So why are these vehicles so flammable, John?
Because that's more entertaining.
Do you think in this world, like, just the gasoline is more... Do you think they built cars with flammable parts?
They're using nitroglycerin.
For
gasoline.
Yeah, nitroglycerin paint. Glycerin paint. But they kept blowing up. But I tell you, though, I think of all the visuals, those logs dropping down, oh my gosh.
And I love it wasn't super slow-mo, but it was just slow enough, right? Like, call it like 1/3 pace.
Yeah.
That it looked, I thought it was fantastic. And with the sound editing that was done, or sound mixing, I don't know which term to use for the sound effect of it. Like, I felt that thump. It makes me think of when Godzilla first steps out, in a well-done Godzilla movie. You almost felt it. This death scene rattled me in the same way that Mrs. Luton's death scene did in part 1, like, in terms of like how elaborate it was, because that was the most elaborate one from part 1, and it was the most effective one in part 1, in my opinion. Like, this is the Mrs. Luton death scene, but the Mrs. Luton death scene gets kind of harkened back a few times in this movie.
Now, so, we move on. The main character, AJ Cook, she has her premonition and she lives. So it leaves several people alive, right? Kimberly is alive, Thomas the cop, Kat the businesswoman, Evan the lotto winner, Rory the stoner, and then you have... And then
Tim and his mom, Tim and his mother.
Eugene the teacher. Oh, yeah, and then Nora the mom, and then Isabella. So you have a decent amount of people that got to get killed in this movie. And they do a fine job with the murders. I think the biggest laugh I've had in the first 3 Final Destinations so far is when Evan, the first guy to really get the first death via death, right? When he slips on the spaghetti. So he escapes.
Oh my God.
So he sticks his finger, he has that horseshoe ring, it's upside down, and, it's bad luck. He gets it stuck in there, but he's getting calls from all these ladies like, hey, call me back, you won the lotto. And then so he has all this gear. But when he goes down the fire escape and slips on the spaghetti, like, that made me laugh really hard, because someone wrote, obviously every script is written, of course, but someone just went, you know what, he should throw spaghetti out of his window, then climb down the ladder, the fire escape, and then slip on that, and then the fire escape ladder caves his skull. Like, that's funny to me.
I think that he was being punished by death in this death scene for having bad food taste. Because he had spaghetti in a pan, that was sitting out. Okay. No one who makes good food treats good leftovers like that. So he just made some cheap Chef Boyardee can, I'm guessing. And the reason I feel comfortable in estimating him as a Chef Boyardee can guy is because when he emptied it out, he then dumped frozen fish sticks into that pan. And in his fridge, he had leftover Chinese food. Like, this guy does not eat healthily, and Death is like, look, I was going to get you to heart disease anyway, but let's just take care of this now.
He slips on it. I love that idea, right? Just then he falls on the spaghetti.
This is another Mrs. Luton thing too, though. So because when he has his wrist stuck in the garbage disposal because of that big chunky watch that he got, his microwave is threatening to explode at him. And all I immediately thought was, oh my God, Mrs. Luton's computer. Like, I feel like some of these in the flare from the canola oil or whatever he was using that was kind of like a red herring on the stove, and Mrs. Luton. So again, and this is not a bad negative copy criticism. It's just like they were taking subtle components that worked really well before and reapplying them in a way that seemed very dissimilar.
Well, if you look at...
It took many viewings to catch this.
And I think you're absolutely right. And if you look at some of the biggest movies recently, Jurassic World, Star Wars, Force Awakens, the latest Halloween, there's many of the same tropes, or not tropes, story beats from the previous films of theirs, but they were wildly successful. It's just, I think sometimes audiences need that familiarity. Similar scenes. Similarities. They need to be familiar with it.
Another really cool thing about this death scene, and it was similarly well done in Mrs. Luton's death scene, was the use of music. In both cases, they picked music that would be considered popular or well-liked or something, but they created kind of an odd tone in their respective scenes. Like, especially in this one, it made me a little edgy. In the first one, it made me a little somber, and that made me nervous for Mrs. Luton. And so the use of music in some of these death scenes is really effective.
All right, so he gets wiped out. Then what do you think about the return of Clear, Ali Larter from the first film? Did you like her return? Did you think that was a good idea?
I did. Every time I watch this movie, it feels more and more like a gag and a little less organic. But of course, every time I watch it, I'm catching finer and finer layers of, the filmmaking, right? I think that just as a storytelling device, they played this turned out a lot better than it would have in most movies.
And you know what I think it helped is, this is a part of why I don't like 3 as much, but in this one, Clear just explains it to them. And it's better than just, I don't want to watch 5 movies in a row where they're all figuring out the same thing over and over and over again. So you get Clear in here, she can knock that exposition in a minute.
And it really happened to her, which makes it feel less like an exposition dump, right? Like, she's warning them what to look for because of what happened to her. Whereas in part 3, dude does a 2006 Google search and all of a sudden he knows as much as Clear.
Yeah. and then they're learning the same things and you're like, ugh. This is another thing. I liked Kimberly in this a lot, AJ Cook. I thought she was fine, but I felt when Clear was on screen, Ali Larter has just maybe been an actor for longer. But she definitely dominated the scenes. I'm not saying overacting, but she is the stronger presence on screen than AJ Cook.
I can't help but to think that she's just more comfortable with the gravity of the role.
Yeah.
And AJ Cook did well.
Yeah.
She did well. But I mean, Larter nailed. But Larter now had Final Destination, which was very straight-faced delivery, right? And pretty heavy in content, especially for its target audience. And she had Varsity Blues.
Yeah.
Like, she had, which was really heavy in my opinion. That was from the late 90s. So she already had 2 pretty heavy roles.
Yeah, I got it. But I thought this AJ Cook, I liked her a lot in this, though. I thought she had just like a nice, like, you wanted her to succeed. And then I thought the cop too, Thomas, the cop. I don't think anything they did was particularly flashy, and they didn't need to be. But I liked them both. Like, when you watch them, I like these two. Like, I don't want them dying. They're nice.
They made a lot of the characters of our survivors either likable from the start like them, or at least gradually more likable. Like they in fact did make that Rory, he actually became more and more likable. It started out just with good written humor, and then it actually started to reach actual shared concern. Like he developed with the movie, and then he actually had some heartfelt bits, like when he thought that he was going to die. I even though I laugh because it's hilarious to me, I really get a little tingle heartstring when he was looking at Kim and saying, hey, here are my keys. If I'm next, could you go to my house and, like find all my drugs and paraphernalia and throw it away, and also my porn and clean my computer. And she looks at him funny, and he's like, I just don't want my mom to find anything that's going to break her heart. And it's like, holy shit, like that really got me. And even if everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people might have some degree of some of this stuff, we all think about like, gosh, if my mom found that, if I tragically died, it's like that's going to affect her. Like that was sweet. And the way that they did that was really great on screen. And it still also was really funny.
The writer Eric Bress, he also worked on he did script rewrites for Cellular for the director of this, so the director must have liked him. But they loved that character of Rory, so they gave him extra stuff to do. And you can tell that during that shot, there's no over the shoulders. As you can tell, it's just the two of them looking towards the camera, just a stock 2 shot. Mm-hmm. And so they just kind of hit that up on the fly, because that wasn't a planned super shot. I think they just came up with a funny idea and they shot it real quick, because there's not much coverage. There's no coverage on it. But, that's, I don't know. I like that they added that in there. And he also saved that kid's life, which led to the really great gag at the end with the kid blowing up. Now, people don't like this kill. I've read a BuzzFeed list ranking all the kills, and they put the end explosion towards the bottom 5. But I think it's funny.
So I'm going to call it the reverse of the humor of Rory's porn and drugs. Like, I laughed when that happened, but it is the only kill in the whole movie that feels kind of crass, because a severed limb then lands right on the table. Like, it felt like that was from a different movie to me. But I mean, I laughed. It's entertaining to me. It's that big unsubtle wink of, hey guys, see you in the sequel again.
So it was probably from the first 5 minutes of this movie. So they bookend each other nicely.
Yeah, sure. There we can go with that. But that was kind of goofy, and it was because it was super happy-go-lucky, and all these people are together who would probably never be having a barbecue together, and then that hand lands, and it's like, boom, sequel music. And but I laugh. I laugh every time I see it. It's.
I guess I like the surprise of it. Maybe if they just cut after, like. Yeah, you're right. If they just cut at the explosion with her yelling, that'd be funny. Not seeing the arm. I like it. That's good. I think that works. And then also, before I get going, it's pretty cool. They shot the beginning scene in 11 days, and they had 4.5 miles of highway to shoot it on. So they were just flipping cars for 11 days. That'd be fun to be on, wouldn't it?
11 days for that. That's got to be a lot of work. I don't know anything about on the set filmmaking, but that strikes me as something that wasn't fun.
No. You say fun, but it's just one shot every 4 hours. And then you got to clean up. Every time you flip a car, you got to clean up all the glass. It's a pain in the butt. Now, so the kid Tim, I think he's next who gets smushed. And that dentist scene is weird, dude. When he's like, if you walk in and like my pants are undone, like we're not paying.
Like, he's a teenager. I love that. I actually really like that. And it made the mom laugh, which was kind of cute.
I was like, who is it? So they wanted this kid. This is the same as a Sean William Scott from the first one, where they just didn't rewrite his character because they didn't want to be tropey with the large nerdy kid that movies in the 80s and probably 90s embraced. So this one, the kid was 9, then he went to 13 and 15. So that scene when his mom's like tucking him into bed at night, I don't think they rewrote the script for the age change for the kid.
Right. Yeah.
So they've done that 2 movies in a row where they just bring in someone new and then they don't rewrite for it.
I do like that scene though. It's a fun one because you just imagine, you're getting drilled. Literally, he's going to do a filling. So he's drilling into a cavity, the dentist, as birds are striking his huge window on like their 5th floor there because they're Bayside or something. And like every time that happens, like my shoulders kind of shudder up. and I get a little nervous, even though I know what is or isn't going to happen. And gosh, and then at the end he scares some birds, and then the guy with the crane screws up, and he drops that huge like panel of glass, which totally squishes that kid. Oh, it's delicious.
I love great squishes in film.
That's a wonderful squish.
I am like, there's a great squish in 3. I just love when movie characters get smushed. Well,
I think that this squish is superior to Part 3's squish.
Oh yeah, I mean, just the practicality of it, the lack of CGI, the lack of the blood. This was, they built a dummy, they stuffed it full of stuff, man, are there other good smushes? I love the smush in Jurassic Park 2 when the T-Rex smushes the guy on its foot. I should write the 10 best smushes of cinema.
Well, and then head smushes should be their own thing entirely, right?
Like Ricky O, just destroying heads,
and like Vince Vaughn, destroying heads.
Bronze.
Even Ryan Gosling gets to smush a head.
Oh man, well I guess I would stick with full body squishes, like all in one. Yeah, all in one. Does that make sense?
Sure. Nothing wrong with a good full body squish. Honestly, you know what else? I think a full body squish allows more people to embrace the humor in it, regardless of the gore. Whereas when it's a head, it's always going to feel meaner, like when a head is getting crushed or smushed. But when it's the whole body at once, it makes it so much farther from reality. I guess it's less targeted. I can laugh at it better. Whereas when I see a head getting squished, I'm like, oh, whoa. When I see the whole body get squished, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and you brought up Brawl and Cell Block 99 and Drive. Those are two of the most head squishes.
Dude, those are some.
I would say Brawl and Cell Block 99's over quicker. The one in Drive, that's a long head squish.
Are there head squishes in Dragged Across Concrete, which I still haven't seen?
No. Wait, I don't know, man. No, I can't think of a head smush right now, so I don't think there is one. No head smushes. Which is good, man. You don't want to repeat the smush. You don't want to be that guy.
Right. How did you feel about Tony Todd in Part 2?
So, he called Ali Larter's death in this movie. He goes, "There's such fire in you." And at the end, she gets lit on fire, which is my least favorite kill. Right. But he says that. And he's like, "I knew you were coming." Like, he knows what he might. You're right. I think he is death.
Right. In the first movie, it's more like, there's this mystique over him, this kind of like there's a supernatural connection. It's almost like he could almost be an oracle whereas in this, though, even when they arrive at whatever it is, the coroner's office, the morgue, whatever, like there's mist in there this time.
Yeah.
And he comes out of this misty room with the body, and the backlighting is red, like he's coming out of hell or something. And he seems to be chewing that scenery even more. In the first movie, he was just chewing it like it was, some oatmeal. You barely need to chew it, but it's not quite soup. Whereas in this, he's chewing the scene like a Rice Krispies treat. Like he is getting in there. He is chomping away. He's constantly got the biggest smile he can put on.
He should have come out with a guitar and just every line he said, like a guitar solo.
Like Doof with the flames coming out of it.
He should have just done a guitar solo after every single thing he said.
Wearing a red onesie.
Cheering section.
And whenever someone arrives, he is actively working on someone they know.
Yeah.
And I realize they're coming to him because someone they know died. But it's just, I like these scenes, the ominousness of these scenes. And just, I love Tony Todd too.
I felt the same way about Loki in Thor: The Dark World. Every line that Tom Hiddleston said, I wanted a guitar riff to play because that's what they wanted. Yeah. But no, wait, Tony Todd for Loki. Yeah, let's do that. What do you think?
And then he gave us the new notion right before. In the first movie, he introduced everyone to the notion that Death has a plan, and if you violate that plan, Death is going to need to correct that plan. He basically gave the rules that our characters went with in Part 1. And this one, he now is presenting the new rule that gives people the slightly new strategy, and that is that only new life can prevent death. So we're actually building, it's not really building the mythology, if you will, or the world, but it is still, he's not just there to do the same thing he did before because people like seeing Tony Todd on screen. He's giving us a little something more and a little something different than he did before, while being a little extra sinister.
I want to see what you think about this, because at first they think that it's Isabella's child that's going to be brought into the world, and it turns out she would have lived through the accident, so it wasn't her. So
right.
AJ Cook goes and she drowns herself, and they bring her. Man, I gotta tell you, Dr. Kalajarian, they say that word 40,000 times at the end.
I honestly found that annoying.
Yes.
By the way.
We need Dr. Kalajarian. Where's Kalajarian? Are you Kalajarian? Bring Kalajarian. Dr. Kalajarian.
I almost had a facial twitch when they started saying that the third, fifth, and seventh time. Like,
I should have counted it. I feel like it's at least 15 times.
It's a lot of times. I'm with you. It's more than 6, and all we needed were 2. All we needed was Doctor whatever with a K, we need you in operating room 2. Are you Dr. So-and-so? That is it. That is all anyone else could have said, hey, Miranda, this guy is coding. You know?
Where's the doctor? Where is the doctor?
Right.
They bring her back at the end, AJ Cook. But the thing is, Kimberly, so she drowned, they brought her back. But in the first one, Devon Sawa's character, he gets electrocuted, and then he's out for a while, and then they bring him back. So isn't that, and then they're still getting killed.
We're going to pretend he had no brain death yet, and that death operates on brain death.
Got it. Yeah, he had some synapses still going. If they just would have waited a little bit longer.
Yeah, maybe it was still a fun gimmick. That's a good point, though. I had never thought of that about the fact that essentially the same analogous thing happens to him. But again, just in the storytelling of it all, like I like the way it played out. And one thing I wasn't super fond of in the sequel, not so much to the detriment of my enjoyment of it, is that in the first movie, Alex, Devon Sawa, has a premonition in the beginning of the movie. Then after that, we go on what Tony Todd tells them, the mortician, right? And when they know the rules. In this movie, we have a premonition, we have Tony Todd, but Kim has premonitions throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And I did not really think that added much when they were also going on seeing the shadows of the hook hands. They had plenty to go with. I don't really feel like this added dimension of premonitions helped anything.
Now, can I ask you a question? I want to see what you think about it, because I have 2 theories that we could go with. In the commentary...
Yes, I do unfairly view people with hook hands.
Yeah.
Now...
In Final Destination 3, I was listening to the commentary with the director. James Wong came back, and then the writer and producer were on the commentary as well. And in that, they brought up, not as canon, but they said maybe some of these signs that they're seeing is something else trying to prevent death from killing people. So the guy sees the hook hands. Why would death be showing people hook hands? But the thing is, once they ran down and got crazy, the lady got stuck on the hooks and she died. So did death show them the hook hands so that they would get that lady worked up and then die? Or is something trying to prevent these kills by giving people premonition? Is something working against death?
I don't necessarily think that, but like I'm going back to what I brought up in our conversation in the episode of part 1. And that's that if there is a sentient death operating in this way, there are probably other things affecting other cosmic forces. And maybe, like the Matrix, there are rules that even govern these cosmic forces. And it's almost like those things that you see could be a glitch in the Matrix, like the black cat double take. It could be something, it could be an artifact where something is echoed or paralleled elsewhere in the world when something is happening or being changed. I don't know. But like, again, maybe other forces or at work. Maybe there is some cosmic force that allows people to divine things that will happen. And now that you know what you're looking for, you can see those things when most people like muggles go through life without seeing it. So I don't know. It is a fun point, though, that had they not called her to warn her about the hooks, would anything like that have happened?
They killed Nora. So
they might have. And Nora had a mean death, by the way. I was talking about head stuff, how head stuff feels meaner. When her head is getting slammed right in the doorway of that elevator 3 times before her head comes off. Like, that just felt mean.
Very mean. And, like, she started freaking out with the hooks. That guy was creepy, smelling her. I don't know. It was mean, the way her head got pulled off. And then when the lady walked up with the blood all over her, that was another good gag of that scene. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I just kept going.
Oh, and then she said, can we please find the pregnant nurse now?
Yeah, I love that. And then
it was something like that.
And I don't know. It was mean. It was mean. It was drawn out. It was a good head squish.
Oh, and I like the scene. I want to be clear, but I also happen to like mean movies and mean death scenes sometimes.
And then it leads to maybe one of my favorite visuals where Eugene goes into the room and he tries to shoot himself with none of the 6 bullets fire. So Death is like, you're on my time. So the Death can work.
And someone's even like, oh, they were just duds, and the cop's like 6 duds in a row. It's basically impossible.
So Death can control bullets, and it can flip out gas pipes. So there must be rules in this world. Like, Death can't just come down to Earth and squash somebody. It has to look like, Death has to make it look like something, right? Because there just can't be smush people with nothing around. Does that make sense? Or disappearances?
Sure. Well, and I'm going back again to my cosmic forces. If the cosmic forces let themselves be known, what does that do to this world?
Yeah, because I guess yep.
It might create too much disruption. Now everybody is constantly trying to play this game, and now instead of dealing with 5 people every 3 years like Death does in Final Destinations 1 through 3, Death now is dealing with like, oh God, I got these people in New Jersey today. Oh, and these people in Colorado Springs just cheated me too. Like, he's got a full dance. All of a sudden, he's got to start a small business hiring other Deaths just to help him in different time zones.
He's getting contractors, and then they're not as good, so then he has to fix what they did wrong, and then that causes ripples.
They demand too much pay.
If that causes a ripple, he has to hire new people. So you went from having 1 staff member to 7, then you have 48. Is there insurance, pay, rent? Are there otherworldly? Do you have to pay for stuff when you're an ever-present being? I want this movie, John.
I'm just saying, it's like we have our John Wick world with those coins. We still don't know a whole lot about those coins, by the way. Like, a coin gets you it might be like $300 a pour of some rare bourbon, but it also gets you a night in the hotel. It gets you it also gets you like a car ride.
Now, I love Blanton's, but they gave a coin for Blanton's, and then they gave a coin for about 40,000 guns. Or to clean an entire house.
That's what I'm saying. And for like his bulletproof suits, then he actually gave, I think, a couple coins.
So 1 glass of Blanton's is worth 2 bulletproof suits.
But 1 armory worth of guns is 1 coin.
Someone said that there is denominations of those coins, but they throw those coins out willy-nilly.
But the reason we need a cosmic death force is because no matter how good he is, there's only 1 John Wick.
Yeah, I want Cosmic Death Force. What movie is this?
Cosmic Death Force.
Now, what do you think about the suck on my junk, biatch kid? And then she goes, get out of here.
Yeah.
She grown up, that kid. I love that scene.
That didn't need to be there.
There's a few moments in it. See, it kind of made me miss the the niceness of the first one almost. Right? It was, everyone dies, but they don't have those lines in it.
Yeah. That's true. But I also feel like the people in part 1 were interacting with the outside world a little less. Yeah, in this one, there were more people interacting with more other people, and their deaths even involved other people around, like the dentist and this, that, the other, and the crane operator. And like most sequels, it seems like they tried to move the camera back to get a bigger shot of the world with this one.
That makes sense. They're all over the place.
And I guess with that, some jackasses, we get a bigger diversity of characters. But it's not like there was nothing inorganic about that scene, it's like it didn't really feel like that added anything to it.
That'd be funny if she knocked the kid out. That'd have been a good bit.
I think it would have been funnier if she just said, "What the hell are you doing, kids? This, that, and the other," and they just looked at her like, "Whoa!" Like this little, this small woman. She's like 5'3", I think, right? Pushes this teenager with this like stern look, like, "What the hell are you doing? You can kill." And they're just like, "Whoa, lady! Like, take a chill pill," and just walk away. That would have been fine.
She's good. She's believable. Like, I like her a lot. So we covered her in the Resident Evil films too, Ally Larder. she's a good action, physical actor. Like, I wonder why she should do more action movies. I don't know.
Well, maybe the Resident Evils were her share of action movies, though. Wasn't she in 4 of them?
Yeah, I think so. Popping up all over the place. All right, so we've talked about Kat's death. She gets airbagged, and so they get into a car accident, and she gets pegged in, but then an airbag goes off, and she gets PVC piped. What about the death?
I really do love that scene, though. Like,
so
she's
cool.
giving lip to the guy with the jaws of life. She's like, oh, she's like, can you quiet that down? Like, she's trying to talk to her mother. He says, oh yeah, I'm sorry, ma'am. We'll put it on silent mode. Yeah, that would be great. And then wham! And then she eats it.
Kerplow. I love how she drops her cigarette. It rolls down a hill. It goes into a PVC pipe that spreads gasoline to a car, blows up the extremely flammable car. And I love that. I think Death made that tree fall in front of Thomas. So then Death can just knock trees down. So then Thomas has to fall. And then this barbed wire fence rips Rory in 3 pieces. And they actually did that practically. So they built the rig, and then they filmed it in front of a green screen where the actor wore green pants, and then they had the thing fall apart. So it was very Cube, Resident Evil-esque. Well, actually, Cube-esque.
Ghost Ship.
Yeah, Ghost Ship.
I love movies that do that, yeah. I love movies when they do that. It's so entertaining.
But it was a fun, practical death, and I kind of dug how that field just became a killing field for everybody. I like that death a lot. But it's interesting. Death wanted Thomas on the ground, so Rory got killed instead of Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Death had to act quick.
Yeah.
What's Death doing? So Death is putting all of its focus on these 4 people at this time in this field. There are billions of people in this world.
Right. So I look at that almost like Death Takes a Holiday, or the new Meet Joe Black, where, I like how Brad Pitt puts it, and it's probably the same way the original actor put it. It's like, well, when you put on your tie this morning, you weren't just putting on your tie. You were thinking about your day. You were making decisions. Like, maybe all this stuff, when people aren't resisting death actively, are kind of autonomous. It's kind of like reminding yourself of all the things you need to pick up at the store later, or, realizing that you don't have time for that Pop-Tart and you just need to get in the car and get to work because you woke up 5 minutes late. Maybe death is autopiloting a lot of this stuff.
God, and then it has to go actually change other things, kind of architect other situations when there's a blip.
Right. And then like you said, the tree fall, like maybe Death can't just make any tree fall, but maybe that tree was destined to fall that year, and Death does have the power to flex a little bit when it falls. But maybe he can't make a tree fall that it wasn't going to fall for like 5 more years.
Does Death just blink at it, or does it it's everywhere, so does it push it? Does it have 2 hands pushing it?
I mean, he's got to have some like ancient magical power. I think he's like willing it.
Or it's. Do you think it's peanut butter? Like Meet Joe Black?
Who on earth? What kind of monster doesn't like peanut butter?
No, remember the peanut butter scene from...
No, I know, yeah.
Do you think Death eats peanut butter like that?
He loves the peanut butter. I mean, if Death ever had the luxury of eating peanut butter, I'll bet he would love it. Oh my God. What if this Death from the Final Destination world manifested itself, kind of like in Meet Joe Black and Death Takes a Holiday, consumed peanut butter, but was in a body deathly allergic to peanut butter, and when dying in that body actually dies and Death no longer existed?
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
I like that. End of the movie. Done.
And then no one dies ever, and it turns into pandemonium.
Just overcrowding. I do love that scene took place at the 180 mile marker.
180 appears a lot in parts 2 and 3.
Now, all right, so we're moving on to the end. That cop, Thomas, he grabs Caligari's, the Dr. She should have been Dr. Caligari.
Right. Like the old horror movie, right?
Right?
When we first met her, she should have been in a cabinet.
Yeah. Just digging in it, like grabbing something out of it. Oh my gosh.
Like a big scary syringe.
That'd have been the greatest. Oh my God. And then it's a little off-centered, like the German expressionism, because one of the legs is broken. So it looks a little off. Whoa. But he really grabs her by the arm, doesn't he? Like, he roughhouses her.
No, he does. He Captain America arm grabs her, like in the early Captain America.
He Winter Soldiers her. That's a good one.
Yeah, we talked about that way back in the day.
Yeah, like the best arm grabs of 24. There was a lot of arm grabs in that year. Arm grabs everywhere, John. Poor Black Widow.
That cop really tried, but I got to tell you, for all the likability of the characters, I think that character got the least service. He organized things, right? His character was involved with organizing everything, but the actual scenes or emotions or personal bits seemed a little weaker for him for some reason.
Yeah, he's kind of an egg.
Yeah, like he was more the tool to get everyone together to guide some events.
So what were your overall thoughts before we move into 3? What do you like most about 2?
Honestly, it's that the energy is noticeably higher than part 1. Like for me, the death scenes themselves are more engaging purely on an energy level, how exciting they are. They don't necessarily build up the same amount of tension as part 1, and I may not be quite as invested in the characters as much as in part 1. And that was part 1's huge strength, right? It was the characters and it was the tension. This one did a good job of super amping up the death scenes without totally squandering the other stuff, which unfortunately is what starts to happen in 3 and 4.
All right. I love it. I can't say better than that. So when we come back, we'll talk Final Destination 3. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. John, how is that Jell-O? Because you're currently driving in your airbag. Is it tasty? Do you have to refill it every day? I gotta tell you,
that airbag went off and I got a mouthful of orange Jell-O and it was delicious. And thankfully, my head didn't get slammed into this jagged PVC pipe behind my head.
I gotta tell you, John, thank you. I mean, you are driving through some really insane conditions right now, but your audio sounds great. You're in great spirits. You're currently covered in orange Jell-O. Your car's a little damaged, but I appreciate it. So whenever
I look like Venkman after being covered in that pink ooze in Ghostbusters 2.
But it's worth it, right? It's worth it.
Sure. Right. It's tasty.
So we're back to all right. So we're on to Final Destination 3. James Wong, he directed the first one. He came back to direct the third one. Glenn Morgan came back to write the script for this one as well. All right. Do you like 3?
So, okay, does 3 entertain me? Do I like it by itself as an entertaining thing to watch? Yes. Do I think that this movie was the first movie to perform a disservice to the Final Destination franchise? Also, yes.
So I watched this. I'm actually more into the behind-the-scenes stories in this. I would rather talk about how They made these kids go on this really tiny roller coaster 27 times in one night, and then they digitally made it larger, and then they filmed all the green screen stuff of them hanging, and then when they got onto the roller coaster, that was a set inside of a warehouse because they couldn't build it at the actual theme park, and they put like a gimbal on it to shake the kids. They actually they strapped cameras on to the sides of the roller coasters to make those shots look better. I mean, I was more into that. I mean, I don't know how getting ripped in half works, John. I got to tell you, I'm not an expert in that. But there's a round pipe that isn't sharp that rips a kid in half. I mean, and they're going probably 30 miles an hour?
Sure. Well, whatever. Let's just call it 50. I don't even think it makes the difference of that, though.
Yeah. I don't know. This one, I also think it has my least favorite kills with Ashley and Ashley. No, that's not both their names. It's
Ashley and Ashlyn.
Yeah, Ashley and Ashlyn. Actually, one of them, Ashley, she was in Tucker and Dale, and the other one was in Hot Tub Time Machine. And then one of them was in Black Christmas, the Crystal Lowe. She was in Black Christmas with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and it was directed by Glenn Morgan, who wrote Final Destination 1 and 3.
Now, I actually love their death scene.
Really? Yeah.
I actually like those characters for reasons people normally wouldn't think of. But I think that this movie, all the things that I said at the end of our discussion of Final Destination 2, that they did right, that they amped up the deaths without, squandering the characters and the story and the buildup. I feel like this movie thought death scene, death scene, death scene, and everything else got thrown out the window. And then we talked about how the beginning of part 2 had all that kind of not exactly sleazy, but a lot of locker room talk, a lot of drug talk, a lot of hypertrope stuff. Here things are really troped up, and they seem to stay that way much more pervasively. Mm-hmm. And the skeezy characters just stay skeezy. Like the guy with the camera.
Yeah. With that scene where they're looking, so he took an under the skirt shot, and they're just watching it. He's watching it, just cringing. And you're going, why do this is our protagonist. I don't like this guy. at all.
Yeah, and also as this movie progressed, my advancement of care for these characters went very little. I cared a little more over time, barely, because she started out very sympathetic about Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character. If we were to have a star, she's like our Devon Sawa Alex in part 1. She's like our Kim AJ Cook in part 2. But she's the only one that I really cared about at all.
But she's a control freak. I thought she was almost too good for this. I know this is bad, but her performance she's very good in this. I would put this performance up against any other performance in this franchise. But as far as a character goes,
it's just that all the writing around her didn't match her character and her.
And why did her sister, Julie, never bring up the fact, that, oh, hey, I survived that roller coaster too?
She wasn't supposed to be there. Remember, she was in the picture and she wasn't supposed to be there. And then her parents would find out that she was there when she wasn't supposed to be, and she lied or something.
But Mary knew, right? Wouldn't she be like, hey, we can't talk about it, but I was there with you? Because Winstead already knew she was there.
Yeah, but they have a very contentious relationship.
Yeah, she's always busting out the double bird.
Yeah, I mean, I see all good points. And maybe over the course of, like a couple days, something maybe would have come out. But it's like, I get it. But they almost designed these characters to have less synergy with one another than the previous ones, like you have this jock who's the super asshole jock to like everybody. You have the skeezy guy who really just cares about him doing his skeezy things and trying to get laid all the time. It's you have the sister who's contentious with her sister all the time, except for a few moments when they're talking about a loved one's death. And then before the scene's over, it comes back to contention for some reason.
Being around Frankie Cheeks, that old guy who's just skeezing all the time, would be so annoying.
Yeah, guy was...
The one thing I kind of like, I liked, was that Mary Elizabeth Winstead, her character Wendy, and Kevin, the skeezy guy, they were both in the ring too together, by the way, who takes the really gross shots, he's a dirtbag, but I like how they don't have a relationship. They just kind of become friends. Like there's no... I
mean, they start to work together. Yeah.
And so I thought that was an interesting decision, because in the first one you kind of had Sawa and Ellie Larder bonding, and then the second one you had Egg Cop and AJ Cook bonding. And so this one, it was more of like we just probably should work together, which is...
Yeah.
That's a refreshing spin.
Sure, I thought it could have been better, but I think almost all the character relationships in this could have been a lot better.
In this movie, they couldn't do fireworks because the people around that area wouldn't do fireworks. So they only did one night of fireworks, and the rest they created via an intricate light system to make it look like fireworks were going off. And they talked about that during the commentary, and I loved it.
The whole fireworks thing, that whole sequence where there were 2 deaths, I was not impressed with that.
Yeah, she got a rope wrapped around her with like a metal pole and dragged around, and then the guy got
dragged
smushed
around by the horse, and you're just like, okay, this doesn't look visually very satisfying. When she got yanked, she probably would have had her neck broken anyway. Momentarily, I was entertained when her friend, who, by the way, we're only seeing for the first time a second before she gets killed, gets harpooned by that flagpole, which is an entertaining abrupt death.
Perry.
But and then the jerky emo guy gets smushed, and that's entertaining, but it was very CGI'd out. It lacked the organic look of the kid getting smushed in part 2 that we were talking about outside the dentist's office. Everything here felt a couple rungs lower in quality, satisfaction, execution, build up.
So let's talk about the centerpiece killed of this that you say you like, and the characters that you like for reasons most people dislike them. What do you like about the Ashley and Ashlyn scenario?
Those characters played, so they are our plastics, right? They are our Mean Girls-esque kind of plastic, shallow girls. But those shallow girls, in most movies, they are hyper-troped up shallow girls. In this, even though they aren't good at it, they try to be nice multiple times, which normally your shallow girls never do when you're the shallow girl character in these ensemble, murder fodder horror movies. They went out of their way to give their phone number to Wendy after her loss. Even though they're shallow in general, they say, well, we should get, and by the way, we're going to go tanning later if you want to come, or here's our phone number if you want to talk. And Wendy just crumples it up. And you're just like, but I was thinking like, they aren't good at this, but they were actually really trying.
Ah, okay.
And so that's really interesting to me, even though other times, like when we first meet them, they're being really shallow when they're playing the games at the carnival. Then later they behave very shallowly later. And yeah, okay, they're just going to go tanning to look good for everyone at the memorial because that's the right thing to do. Obviously, that's shallow. But then when we see them, though, after they try to be really nice to Wendy and they're at the tanning place, and I'll skip some of the stuff, but when they put on that music and they are like having a naturally good time, bobbing their feet, mouthing the words to Love Roller Coaster and bobbing their heads, like that felt like really sincere and nice and fun. And like those were people having a nice, fun time literally before they died a horrible death, which doesn't normally happen in these movies. So they did something really nice earlier, and now they're having a good time together, even if they're shallow, and then they have this horrible death.
I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah. I mean, so the drink that they shouldn't have brought in, the condensation drips down on the HVAC. It affects the AC in there. Temperature starts going up, and it affects the tanning beds, which starts to amp way up on the voltage. So they're getting really hot in there, right? And do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, and then they will just get. Well, then the board comes down and traps them both inside, and they burn to death.
They are blistering.
Yeah,
and then the glass shatters, and one of them gets impaled in the face. Then they're screaming. Then the glass under them breaks. They fall in. They go up in flames. Like there's a lot of screaming. Like these aren't short deaths.
When I watched this scene, I believe in 2006, I was like, I don't like this. I get it. Listen, I get how it's very well done, and maybe that's the response, a successful response. But I was like, man, this is crazy. That was a long death, John.
Right. And I loved it. But again, as I've announced before, I do enjoy me some mean death scenes from time to time. But again, like I felt more for those characters before they died than any other character in this movie.
Well, if you think about some of the deaths are long. So in the first one, you have the teacher. That one is, I mean, all right. So the one guy chokes. That's probably 30 seconds. Then you have the teacher bleeding. The knife goes into her. In the second one, none of the deaths are really dragged out. If you think about it, they're very sudden to these characters. But this was a good 2-3 minute death.
But it really brings it home to me though that they were lip syncing Love Roller Coaster, and they're shaking their hand. They're like hands are up by their head while they're bobbing their head side to side, and they're swinging their little feet back and forth. They're having a fun time. That's even that they shallowed the scene by showing nudity of both of them. So, not that I'm complaining, but
now it is kind of funny that they had the roller coaster song on. Because what they got off of earlier. So Death set that up, correct?
Sure. Cruel irony. Watch out for the warning signs. But in this case, the warning sign was their choice. So it's not like that was just on the radio. They picked that.
Yeah, they picked the CD. Do you want to hear something interesting? They used aquarium lights for those because the other lights couldn't show up the UV. So what they did was they used aquarium lights to make that hue.
Oh, like the cameras wouldn't pick it up well?
Yeah, so they used aquarium lights in those suntan beds.
I thought it looked good. It makes me think, what was it? I Still Know What You Did Last Summer that had the tanning bed death a little before this movie?
Oh, that was I Still Know What You Did, right? When she's at the Jack Black Island.
I don't remember being as impressed, but I also haven't seen that in a long time.
Well, wasn't that Jennifer Love Hewitt and she got out of it?
Oh, was it? I thought someone died in the tanning bed in that.
Yeah, I think she, man, I'm not really up to date on I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. I know
Watch out next year when we cover the I Know What You Did Last Summer series, and we have to cover those deaths.
We should do it, man. We could do the data article, the one I wrote about how long it took them to clean out the trunk that was full of crabs and make it look totally clean.
Well, then I know what we're doing next summer.
Hey, oh, I love it, man. That movie was a huge hit.
I remember liking parts 1 and 2. I don't remember the third one, right? Like, I'll always remember. Is that it? Is that right?
I'll always remember. Yeah.
It starts out with the name like a rom-com.
Oh, so I want to say something. In this commentary, they gave the name to Death. They called it the Death Wind. Do you think that had something to do with The Happening?
I don't necessarily think it has something to do with The Happening, but that's a motif. It's just that normally it's just like you suddenly feel cold air, right? That's the classic thing.
Yeah.
You just feel a chill.
The death wind.
But that chill, it's like they've turned that chill into a little breeze, and then that breeze started manipulating things, right?
Popping things off. Now, all right. We're going to go into the kill where that not the creepy guy, the skeezy guy gets killed. But there's a random scene where he's like, yeah, SpongeBob SquarePants lives underwater. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead goes, I can't believe you know that. And it's kind of like, I mean, that's common knowledge, right?
To us now, I mean, this is 2006. I don't know what level the internet was at. Maybe memes wouldn't make that so obvious. Like, memes weren't even a thing, were they?
No, but I mean, it was everywhere in 06, SpongeBob. You just flip on a TV, you see it real quick.
I probably knew that. I probably just knew that, though. I probably only needed one image ever to know that he lives underwater.
That's like, hey, they're in a coffee shop. Have you seen Friends? And someone's like, I can't believe you know that.
Right.
Like,
sure, that's fair.
I'm gonna start doing that to people because they're gonna be like, "What? I don't know why."
Do you remember that traffic scene in Patriot Games? I can't believe you know that.
You know, when Sean Bean, listen, one of his greatest all-time deaths is in that movie because he gets stabbed with that anchor of a boat, and then I think he gets shot and then stabbed, and then the boat blows up. That's another 8-part kill. So in Fellowship of the Ring, he takes 3 arrows and 4 arrows. And then that one he gets it. And then in Goldeneye, geez Louise, he falls several miles onto the ground and he lives. And then that satellite falls on him.
But in Lord of the Rings, when he's taking those arrows, that's like a hero's death.
Yeah. And one arrow can't kill Sean Bean.
Right. Like you appreciate that it took several and that he took a couple more steps. He's like, you sons of bitches almost, you know.
When I worked in that movie theater, I would go, so that was the last movie to always close. So I'd close up all the theaters, make sure no one was in there, lock everything up, check the bathrooms, just make sure everything's good to go. And I would go watch the final moments of Fellowship of the Ring to make sure everyone walks out. And I watched that scene so many times. That's when movies were actually in the theater for a long time. Man, what a powerful scene. Oh, Sean Bean, crushing it. But yeah, back to Final Destination 3. What'd you think about when that skeezy guy gets propelled?
You want to talk about the skeezy guy's death, right?
Yeah, when he gets engine motored.
Right.
I mean, that was okay. Because you didn't even know he was there.
Yeah, so like when you see the death and the aftermath of the death, it's very entertaining. But the build-up didn't, there's this car and it's out of control down there. And then this thing backed into us. And also that truck backing into them, of all the things that happen in these movies and these death scenes, that did not feel credible that they got sandwiched in by that truck.
Did Death force that truck to do it? So did Death take over that guy?
You see, well, even if he did, like that's starting to feel far-reaching, even for these movies, you know, like, and then that truck coming down the hill, like, I see that coming, but like, I'm sure you could have filmed that in a way that cultivated more urgency, but I didn't really feel much.
No.
Until it was just about to hit him, basically, and that, no
one cares about Frankie Cheeks.
Right, sure. Again, though, I mean, it filmed right and showing his fear and anticipation and something, it can obviously make you care more. Yeah. And this scene did not do that. It's really interesting to me how this is the same director as Part 1, where in Part 1 he sprinkled fairy dust magic into that infused a horror franchise, and a great one, I think, in general. And then in Part 3 he comes and makes all the mistakes that I imagine that a newcomer would make. And it turns out that David Ellis kind of does that too, because in Part 2, he did a wonderful job with a different angle. And in Part 4, I feel like he squanders everything. But we'll get to that in another episode.
Now, Luis Romero's death. Is that the angriest weightlifting you've ever seen? And there is a guy screaming while curling 15-pound weight.
Right, no, so that's really funny to me too. There's a guy like benching 135, right? One big plate on each side. And he's benching it like, rah, the dude, he might be my size. And folks, I'm big if you don't know me. Like, it's like, he might be my size. I'm like, what's going on there? And yeah, like you said, the guy in front of the bear, I thought those weights were 7.5s, by the way, when I think of gym weights. Like,
he might be on rep 1000 if he's making that noise.
Could be, but folks, let me know that. One line of dialogue as you're walking in, it's like, okay, guys, pick your weight. We're doing 50 reps. And then, it's in the background. It's not even a main thing. It's one line of dialogue.
10,000 reps now.
Right. Did you hear? I did 1,000.
So
did you hear me counting?
Luis Romero, jockey McFootball player, which, and I'm not making fun of jocks because I played sports, but this character's nothing more than that, would you say?
This was written in a way that makes me think that David Ellis hates all jocks ever.
Oh, wait, no.
James Wong hates all jocks ever because he made their lifting look ridiculous and or maybe roided out with some intention or just aggressive or maybe, I don't know. And they were even argumentative and kind of angry in the conversation that they were having.
Yeah, his head gets smushed. I'm normally all for smushes, but they actually built a head, but it felt very CGI'd, the head smush, right?
It was, super CGI'd head smush. And the execution was fun, right? Like the execution itself was exciting, but the build-up was almost as aggravating as it was effective. But when that happened, though, and the swords came down, you thought the sword was going to take off his head. Instead, it cut the cords that were holding the kind of fulcrum of the isolateral weight machine.
Yeah.
And so then that's why the weights clapped down on his head. And so that was a nice, like, oh gosh, like it's not going to kill him. And then bam. But everything around that execution, and even the CGI itself.
Now, let's talk about a really good one. Aaron getting destroyed by the nail gun in the home improvement store that they had to shoot at nights because they actually let him shoot there, but they had to shoot at night. I remember in the theaters thinking that was a pretty great kill, the nail gun.
Well, I mean, especially if we're talking about like the moments of execution of the death, like that was like, whoa. And the nails just kept coming too. So like when you finished your initial gasp, normally the thing is done and you're just looking at the aftermath, whereas it's like, and you still see her head twitching and her hand's up there. So her hand went up just instinctively because she's getting hit in the head, even though they're coming through the back of her head. I mean, it was just, that was pretty brutal.
Yeah. When I think about this movie, I kind of remembered that nail gun scene. I was like, I remember liking that one. I felt like that was pretty done. But what are these kids doing in this store after it's closed? Like high schoolers. Well,
I think that, it's just they were saying like at one point he was saying he wanted me to get rid of these birds before we left. So I think they were in charge of closing up and getting all the things set up that you would need to have set up already. So that when people come to open the store, it's just ready to go. I'm making this up, by the way. I'm just rationalizing or something. I mean, there were two high schoolers. You'd imagine there would be some, 22-year-old assistant manager or something there.
Yeah, I wouldn't let those two kids close up my store.
I mean, unless her uncle owned the store or something.
But yeah, man.
This is another time where one line of dialogue.
Yeah.
One line of dialogue.
Yeah. He said if we do this again, we'll get fired. Screw him. He won't fire us. He's my uncle.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I can't believe he has you killing birds. Well, he's my uncle. I got to put up with some extra crap, but it's a good job.
They really make you hate a lot of these characters before they get killed, though. I mean, he just murders pigeons.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even his attitude, like most of the time he's counterproductive, antagonistic. He even becomes a villain.
Yeah.
When he's approaching that centennial celebration with all the fireworks and the horse and the flagpole harpoon death, like when he goes there, he's going there.
Yeah.
In nothing but mean, harmful spirits. So it's like,
his death was the end of the movie, and audiences hated it, and they added the train scene and reshoots. I don't know if you knew that.
No, well, I'm glad because that was a better ending.
When that kid gets sucked out of the train, I loved it. And then the blood just splatters everywhere.
Oh, yeah, that was good. I did like that. Yeah, the train was effective. It could have been better, I think.
They built a miniature train, and they just pulled it by a bungee cord. So all the moving train shots you see is a miniature. And then inside, they had to build a bunch of lighting, and they had to do it for pretty cheap. So they talked about how they lit the whole thing. That was really cool information for me, behind-the-scenes footage. But yeah, I don't know. It was all right. They originally wanted the cop and AJ from 2 to be there, and they were going to be related to Mary Elizabeth Winstead instead of that group she's with, and they were all going to die together on the train.
So a weird thing about this sequel, about part 3, is that it acknowledges part 1 as if part 3 was part 2.
Yeah.
There is no acknowledgement of part 2 and the events of part 2 at all. And that happened, don't forget, 1 year to the day after the events of part 1.
I think Wong, I remember I read that he didn't like that in the second one no one knew each other, so maybe he had some sore thoughts, because he was shooting something else at the time with his crew. They went and did another movie, and so maybe he just kind of thought, I'm only talking about the one I made.
Oh, it's kind of a jerky thing to do, but I can see that happening. Part 2 was good!
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
Part 2 was good!
Now, they were going to bring those two people back. The schedule just didn't work. So at least they were thinking about it. And also so they were thinking about bringing the people back from 2, but it didn't work. So, I don't know, man. And I don't know. Part 3, there's some good gore. I think Winstead is good as always, but I don't know, man. It's not 2 or 1, I would say.
This movie also started to give us that transition with, or we started to see that transition with Tony Todd in part 2, where he was more sinister, a little more knowing, and they used the lighting and the mist and everything. So in this one, he was the voice of the devil.
Yeah.
Of that roller coaster, and I think he was also the voice of the loudspeaker for the train at the end.
Yep. That was cool. I mean, I guess it was all right. It would have been.
And in later movies, he's literally there are a couple lines where Death whispers something in the later movies, and that's going to be him, because we won't see him as the coroner. So they did a good job of keeping him involved. I think he's just not in part 4.
I can't wait till we get to 5.
5 is amazing. By the way, so I don't know if I'm making this up kind of, but when you see the way that, I can't think of his name, Aaron's friend who dies getting smushed at the Centennial, that was originally the end of the movie. When he dies, look at the position he's in, where his arm is severed arm is relative to his head, and the fact that the arm twitches. And then think of one of the famous deaths in part 5 with the gymnast.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if that inspired the gymnast death in that moment.
Yeah, Ian. Or maybe they watched Deep Blue Sea and saw Michael Rappaport's leg twitching.
Oh,
in 99.
Twitching in the leg. Yeah. Is it sinking? That's a great. These are memorable things. These twitches. So I gotta say, a good twitch. That twitch was the best part of Ian's death.
Oh yeah.
It was the twitch.
That was a nice one. And I was reading about the kills in this film specifically, and a lot of people mentioned they love the twitch. Twitches are good.
Twitches.
Audiences know.
They stick. And the other thing is that's like right at your, and then there's the twitch after you've reacted. Like it's a nice additive. But yeah, it's funny to me that again, this is James again, same director as part 1, and he had none of that character magic.
I mean, they just crank it up, right? Make the kills. Same writer too.
And my favorite character magic relative to this movie was something that you and probably most people didn't even like, and that's those plastic girls.
So you like the one dose of humanity in this. You picked up on the one dose of humanity in this film.
Well, it could be that and just the sincere fun that they were having in the tanning beds before they died. They weren't just sitting there like normal, shallow people. They're doing it like it's a chore. Yeah. They were having fun there.
Yeah, they're not just like, oh my God, Becky's butt is so big. Like they were enjoying themselves.
Yeah, and it's something that they do together. It's nice. I don't know. I liked it.
Well, this was fun, man. I'm looking forward to 4 and 5 with you. This is going to be good.
Well, I'm looking forward to 5.
Yeah, I think 5's going to carry the day for us.
I have not seen part 4 in a long time. So this year I've seen part 1 3 times and parts 2 and 3 2 times. I have not seen part 4 probably since it came out on DVD. I saw it in theaters and then like on DVD once, like, a decade ago. So I just remember that if I hated one of these movies, it was that one.
I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
And 5, I've probably watched more than any of them.
I watched it driving.
I've probably seen.
Oh, go for how many times?
Well, I probably, 5, maybe like 5 or 10 times more than I've seen part 1.
I saw part 5 in a drive-in theater with Megan, my wife, and we had a lot of fun. That was a good night. But
yeah, that opening sequence on a huge screen must have been great.
Yeah, we had an awesome time. That was a fun night. And then the gymnast thing, I just started screaming. But this was fun, man. We'll get ready for next week. But for Mark Hoffmeyer, for John Levengood, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week. In a Tony Todd voice.